Hello, everybody. Welcome to Top FCTV, Top Football Club, however you want to call it. Top FCTV for everybody. Everybody knows what it is. But man, we had a few matches today. Not a lot of people are going to react to Tottenham, Newcastle. Man, what's going on with big YouTube channels? They don't give a damn about us. But we definitely going to come on and talk about it, of course. Unfortunately, for both of us, actually, we had to lose this match. Newcastle, I think, lost. I think worse because we just looked really bad on the pitch today, losing 3-0. Good for Everton. After the point deduction, they came out. They did what they had to do. On the Tottenham side, they were winning, and West Ham came on with the comeback, finishing 2-1 on this match. And at the end of the day, they had an opportunity to extend their lead from United and Newcastle to 30 points. It would have been 4 points away from Newcastle, 3 points away from Manchester United. Still fifth. Well, I don't know, but yeah, I think the City has a better goal difference. So yeah, they would still be fifth. But regardless, they would start getting some separation. I'm sure those guys knew that Newcastle lost, but regardless, weren't able to get the job done. Smash the like button, people. Let's get to as many likes as we can. Subscribe if you haven't already done so. I got Phillip from Toon Tactics TV, Newcastle fan, and of
Yes,
course I got
sir.
Elias from Step Up Spurs. Also, I can't speak today. Also, well, he's a Spurs fan, of course, to talk about what's happening. But man, first of all, let's start with this Newcastle deal, man. Phillip, what are your thoughts on this match, bro?
Yeah, I mean, when I gave my pretty much preview on the game, I did say that going into the game, there's going to be, first of all, the context of the game, the emotional and the psychological part of the game for Everton. They had a 10 points deduction, and that didn't disappoint. Well, that obviously that anger from that just made them
Mm.
even more committed to the cause. I saw them against Nottingham Forest, and they were always going to fight. They were fighting for the badge. They believe in what Sean Dyche is doing. Plus, obviously, the Anthony Gordon factor. They were ready to give him some stick, players and the fans. So Newcastle would have to be emotionally and physically ready for that. And then obviously the in terms of the physical side of the game, but also the real tactical side of the game, they had a good press when they needed to. It was triggered when Livermore got onto the ball, which was surprising. But then you realize that they wanted to stop Livermore from going up the pitch and connecting with not Almiron, or they'll stop between Almiron and Gordon, they'll top wings as well, which worked and which forced us to go to the other side. And so they could focus on where we could hit. So they were really, really good. And they continued the faith. And we weren't clinical when we had the chances. We had to be clinical, and we had to keep the Corey silent. We had to keep McNeil silent, and had to keep Calvert Lewin silent. And we didn't do that. We did that for large parts of the game, but when we really needed to, we didn't do it. And so, obviously, what happened initially was, as we know, two uncharacteristic mistakes from Kieran Trippier
Yeah.
really got the ball rolling, and it was murder she wrote after that, unfortunately.
Yeah, man, it wasn't good, and those goals came exactly from almost identical plays, back
Yes.
to back, and you know that he's not gonna, it's not gonna happen in next game. You know he's gonna be on his A game. You can trust that. So I guess that's a positive that you can take out. Now on the Spurs side, Elias, man, what are your thoughts, man? Why couldn't they get it done, knowing that they had a lead to gain, a bigger lead to gain, and at the end of the day, regardless, they don't get the points. They get turned over.
I don't know if you guys watched the game. Actually, we
Yeah,
started the
what else?
game yeah, we started the game quite strongly actually with an early goal and Romero header, and yeah, even defensively we didn't look that bad and that shaky that we
Mm,
usually look. I think the problem came in a little bit like a couple of miscoms, and I think early really fluky moments that actually cost us the two goals. So first goal was basically it was just a deflection of one of our defenders, and then their player was offside who managed to get the ball,
mhm.
and then he then threw in a goal. That was first goal, and the second goal was basically it was also a miscommunication. This was a defensive error, I'd say. So Destiny Udoji, he tried to make a small pass to Vicario, but Vicario was coming in front of his line actually to receive the pass when the pass went through, and actually their striker got it, and then he put one he made one pass if he and then that got deflected off the goalpost, and then from there the other one just threw it in, and it was like seriously like two goals totally fluky. None of their efforts, I would say, but seriously, but it is what it is in the end. That's what it matters. I think that West Ham looked quite average today. They didn't really, I would say that they didn't really deserve the points, but it is what it is. When you have fluky goals in as well, still you have to you have to take in the loss and you have to digest that. And I would say that yeah, that's what happens with Spurs today.
Is this part of and I guess this could be a question for both Newcastle fans and Spurs fans, because they're kind of in a similar mode this season, rebuilding, and maybe Newcastle has had two of these seasons in a row last season, and this one was a surprise for Spurs fans. But is this something that's going to happen, that is possible and can happen, and fans need to just get on with it, or do fans need to, are they in the right to question it and say, why didn't he do this? Why did Son come out even though it looked like he got hurt? But watching some watch-alongs, actually watching Tottenham away at the channel where Elias has been on, etc. They were saying, one of the guys was talking about why did Son come out, kind of question it, and so is this kind of a part of their rebuild for both teams?
I think Sun. Sorry.
No, go on. Absolutely, go on.
Yeah. So I think Sun went off. I particularly think that the substitutions were made basically because you have to realize that this is a midweek game and you're playing again over the weekend as well. So you can't
Right.
be risking a lot of strains, a lot of anything basically. So I think he realized that now the game is kind of more or less done and dusted. If anything, there's basically a chance. So let's say let's play it. Let's get the chance with your subs on. And I think he was trying to conserve energy. I think for Son, possibly. I think there are some people saying the Son was probably limping as well, so he could be injured out. But I particularly think that he was actually conserving it a little bit for the Newcastle game, and I think that's part of the management as well.
Mhm.
I don't blame Manage for that. I think it was really something that he had to do. I don't blame him for making any of the subs except the one I think where he put in Skip and then took Lo Celso off. Other than that, I think the in-game management decisions were all very good. I think going well towards the rebuild. I like it, man.
Yeah, I think you asked a really good question there, Chris. I think you can criticize. I think you have to be measured in your criticism, obviously, and that's what we're trying to do.
We had a guy leave our group chat because because some Newcastle fans were just too much.
Yeah, you just have to be measured. I mean, I can say, for instance, and I think probably this is probably the second or third game where, even though, for instance, Isak had scored against Chelsea, he hasn't been looking a shot. But at the same time, he's just come back from injury, and had Wilson been playing, he would have been eased back in. But he has been a little bit sluggish. I think Anthony Gordon, for instance, I think he tried to be friends with everyone in this game rather than take the game and show Everton exactly who he is. That's what I felt when I saw him. I thought you got either two ways. You can try and, when you're faced with a pit bull, say, "Oh, good doggy, nice doggy," or you can growl back and see if he runs away. And then Gordon chose to try and acquiesce the fans and the players, and it didn't work, and it hurt us. So I think, but again, he's been playing well for us. He had chances and as well, and he was clinical. If he had been clinical, it would have been better for it. But you can say this and that decision. I think obviously Howe put on Kraft and Richie at the end. But he probably wanted to win the game before he put those players on. Could he have made those substitutions earlier? But who can think of all the players of the pitch to make the same mistakes are going to be Kieran Trippier? If you said Louis Miley, then you'd have said, yeah, because he's 17, obviously, but it was Trippier. So you have those off days. I think you can be critical, but I think you've got to be productive. You've got to be constructive in how you're doing it.
Right.
So yeah, absolutely.
So it is basically a rebuild, because I mean, yeah, I actually, it's hard for me to do that sometimes as well. Like, it's hard for me to be like, okay, it's cool, we're just gonna take the loss. Like, I like to push my team to you know what I'm saying,
100%.
because to be honest with you, and I said the same thing about Spurs on this game, to in a certain. Actually, I believe it was a must win for both teams because
Yes.
the weekend they're gonna face each other. You know
Yes.
what I mean? It's basically Manchester United, Newcastle, and Tottenham for maybe that top four, top
And
fifth
Villa.
spot, and Villa, of course, 100.
Yeah.
percent But you know what I'm saying. So you know that you're gonna fight each other in the weekend. You must win this one because if you tie, because it could happen, or if one of
Exactly.
them lose, then you still
Exactly.
get these points against yes, a West Ham United that you know at the end of the day you can't count anybody. They're ninth in the league. Everton right now 17th, even though they're higher. You know they're about 11th, 10th in reality.
Yeah, yeah,
They
yeah.
just got
Up,
those
yeah.
points taken away. So
Yeah.
I believe that as a fan, it's okay to be like, listen, man, we got to win this match, and there's nothing wrong with that, in my opinion. Now, whether at the end of the match, if you lose, you know, for the Newcastle perspective, Trippier makes two deadly mistakes and they cost you goals. So you
Yes.
know that in the next match, that's not going to happen because this is Kieran Trippier. You see what I'm saying? Now, if
Yeah.
there was somebody else, then it could be a different story. So I think there needs to be a balance. And when it comes to Spurs, man, again, to your point, Elias, they played well. They played better than West Ham in the first half. They just didn't capitalize on their opportunities, and West Ham, you know, took advantage. Even though they were kind of flukes, like you said, at the end of the day, they still took advantage of the shots and won this one. So, um, yeah, man. I mean, what other thoughts do you guys have on these two matches, and
Well,
and how can they move forward?
I was hoping that my prediction for the game was actually 3-0 to Newcastle, but
Oh yeah, yeah, I
and
thought so too.
I was hoping I'll be going into a pre-game with Tottenham, and I'll be I think me and Elias will be saying, "Oh, both coming off victories, and this
Yeah.
is the juicy one." But we're both coming off losses, and I always thought that we're coming back from an international game break, that because of our injuries, that the first 3 or 4 blocks of games we would do well in. I was hoping we could stretch it to Everton, and then whatever happens with Spurs happens with Spurs. Kind of thing. But it's happened a little bit sooner. I think people are saying it's fatigue and stuff like that. But at the same time, there's a part of me going back to what you're saying, you're pushing your team. There's a reason why injury time was 10 minutes. It's because there was a lot of breaks in the game. And
Mhm.
so people could use that time, but up and down type of thing. You can't vouch, you can't always vouch for it. So just
Yeah.
like you was hoping to be going into the Spurs game, but it's now that it's interesting how we're both. I was going to actually ask Elias because we both played today similar-ish teams. Obviously, West Ham are of better quality, but they both stay compact. They're both counteracting teams. We're mainly front foot teams and pressing teams. And obviously, I didn't see the game with Tottenham. I assumed that West Ham did what West Ham do. They remained compact and they did their best to hold out. And obviously, that worked for them. So, but now that we're going in against Spurs, two high pressing teams. But I was going to ask Elias in terms of how. Because I've watched 2 games now with Tottenham where first half they're blitzing teams, Villa, Wolves, and second half, people say capitulation. I don't know what your thoughts are on it. Do you see that, or do you think it's an anomaly? Because I think for Newcastle today, I think it's an anomaly just because Kieran Trippier, those 2 mistakes were real mistakes that Trippier doesn't usually do. So I'm hoping it's an anomaly rather than us playing badly and getting smashed off the field. I don't know what your thoughts are, Elias, in Tottenham and West Ham today, for instance, and your form.
I mean, first of all, I would like to comment a little bit on the Newcastle game as well. I think
Yeah.
that getting a win or win at a Goodison Park is not for everyone as well. Like, actually, that particular stadium is a tricky one as well. Like, even when we go there, it's hard to actually make a win of them. Like, you can hardly like batter Everton at their home. Like, usually what you can probably get is a draw. Maybe usually that's a result that often we get as well at Goodison Park. So I don't think that Newcastle are the only ones actually who struggle there. Actually, it's a lot of teams do struggle there. When even Liverpool goes there, the atmosphere gets very toxic, and they even struggle there. Like, they are a big team. I think for the Spurs game today, what the problem with that happened with us, I agree with you that the kind of teams that we both of us played, they were both very like sitting back kind of teams, and then we are the kind of like more attacking a front footed team who likes to do a high press. The problem I think currently the Spurs is having right now is I think we need a outright striker. I think
Mm.
Son and Richarlison or anybody else, I think they are not as clinical as what as like if you can tell
Mm.
the finishing of what Kane was, or the finishing of what like strikers like Holland, Vlahovic, these kind of guys can do. I think we need a proper number 9. And if you ask me, I know a lot of people are saying like Ivan Toney is a great striker and all that, but I think I would go for someone like Vlahovic actually in January.
Mhm.
Nice.
I'm looking at a player like him. I think it really suits it really suits the Spurs style of game. And I think if you see Vlahovic and Harry Kane, they're very similar type
Mm.
of players. Like I see what Harry Kane used to be when he was young. Like I see that sort of a replica there. Ivan Toney, I think I do rate Ivan Toney as well, but I think Ivan Toney has just been in the kind of he has just been in the kind of a team where he was actually getting a lot from his support, support from a team which plays a very risk-free football. Like they don't care about the amount of goals that they concede. They are very much front-footed. I think Spurs still, as when you're a top club, you have to have that balance. Actually, Brentford is just a very front attacking team under Thomas Frank. Actually, I like that manager as well, and I
Yeah.
think Ivan Toney has been capitalizing a lot on that as well. He's very good with his strength, but I don't think he's the kind of player. If he comes at Spurs, it's a different sort of a pressure when you're playing for a big club. I think you struggle as well, and I think Ivan Toney at best. I think I see that sort of a Lukaku vibes, like Lukaku when he was like at certain clubs he played very well, but I think when he changed it to certain clubs, he was not that great. I see Lukaku and Ivan Toney as very similar type of players, and I don't think he's gonna work for Spurs.
So we got another probably 13 minutes on this stream. I want to talk about the match that's coming up between these two guys, Tottenham and Newcastle, and kind of get your predictions, but also a little bit of analysis on what we can expect this weekend. It's going to be really, really good and entertaining. At the end of the day, both of these teams, listen, I'm always looking at it from maybe the emotional, maybe the how can we get better for both of these teams, but also you got to be looking at the table. You got to keep an eye on the table and see how other teams are what they're doing. And again, to my point earlier, both of these teams needed to win this one. If they look at the table, to get away, it would have been nice if Tottenham loses to West Ham, Newcastle go up to 29 points, still above. They will go to fifth place, and vice versa. If Newcastle losing, Tottenham win their game, it would have been. It's almost the same thing. And having Manchester United winning yesterday wasn't good for any of these teams. So this weekend match becomes a really, really important match to me because honestly, beside now taking the table away, in my opinion, these teams are in their level. Like that's the level that both of these teams are, that they should be competing for the fourth, fifth spot. I don't know if you guys agree or not, but I want to get your
I
takes on that. Go ahead, Elias.
I think it's a good time to see where the two teams are. Like I think you guys have been really struggling with your injuries as well. You
Mm,
kind of like play a similar style of football as well, like us. Uh, like a more balanced type of a high press football where you rely quite a lot on your two center backs to be fast and quick and making the runs back and all that. And I think we play a very similar game as well. Similar, I would say similar stage of a club as well. You guys are doing a rebuild. You guys are moving towards, I think, the team that can actually really challenge for the titles, and you're in the midst of a project as well, I would say. And same for us as well. I think we are very much similar at that in that aspect of football as well. So, in my opinion, I think this is going to be a closely contested game. I think Newcastle have a slight advantage there, mainly because of I think the injuries that you guys have and the injuries that we have. I think they are slightly different. You guys still have some of your key players that like does most of your creative work. Like you still have Kieran Trippier there. You still have I think Bruno Guimaraes there, and I think even your center backs as well. Like Shar is still fine if I'm not mistaken, right?
Mhm.
And then
yeah.
whereas we have actually lost our one of our defenders was like playing a key role, which is Mickey Van de Ven is injured, and then you have James
Mhm.
Madison injured out, and now actually apparently there's a scare that Son might be injured as well. I don't know. I
Mm,
think that probably he came off because he was probably just getting a rest for the Newcastle game.
right.
But I think if he is injured, then it's going to really cost us. So I would say that Newcastle have a fair advantage there also. And I don't think your ground as well is a very easy ground to play at. I think it's the Newcastle home
Isn't
game,
that
right?
no? It's a White Hart Lane. It's at
It's
Spurs.
Is
it's
it
a White
White
Hart
Hart Lane?
Lane. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
sorry. So
So he's gonna take
I
all that
mean,
back
we
now.
no, sorry. I won't say so. I mean, if it's a White Hart Lane as well, I don't think it's a big advantage still. Like I personally feel that that this year we haven't capitalized much on our home advantage. We lost to Chelsea at home. We lost to, I think, Aston Villa at home. Then we lost to this West Ham at home today, and now Newcastle at home. I don't think that it's an advantage in any sort as well. Like our home form has not been there. Uh, for some reason, I don't know, when we were playing the Conte ball that time. I think the home advantage used to work for us, but I think really this season it's just not working for us for some reason so
Yeah.
far.
So just to clarify, so Son is a doubt, and Ramos is back,
Well,
right?
well, he came out today, son, at the 70th minute, I believe, and SofaScore has him coming out for an injury. So I'm not 100% what happened, and to be honest, I was watching the end, and I don't know what play could have been because I just didn't think anything at all.
I
So
think it's a strain. I think it could be a strain, probably. Yeah.
yeah,
Who's
maybe yeah. Go
who's
ahead.
Spurs midfield? Because before I kind of, because I'm always cautious about giving predictions right after the game because your mood is here and there. But in terms of like who's in Spurs midfield at the moment? Is it Bentancur,
So
Basuma?
we have Bissouma. Yes, we have Bissouma. Then you have Hoiberg and probably Lo Celso. Lo Celso is that Argentinian midfielder. I think
Mm,
he
Okay,
plays as
interesting.
like a holding mid
yeah,
there.
So yeah,
So that's like a midfield, and sometimes you play Kulusevski as a creative mid, and then you
and
play
if for
Brian Hero Johnson up front.
if for some reason Son can't play, you got to have Richarlison in there, and that's a big contrast.
right. So that's what I'm thinking about how I would make a prediction on this game. Exactly. That's exactly it,
Yeah,
Chris. So
we just don't know if he's hurt
I
really
think
or
from
not.
a I think from an emotional, psychological, mental point of view, we beat you guys twice last season, obviously, and 6-1 at
Yep.
St James's Park, and so Spurs know that this isn't. They got to come back into it and do something about that. I think in terms of the tactics, if Son, because if Son does play, obviously my in terms of tactically, you can. Well, you had Madison to do that, but if you can play through the middle. I saw you guys play against Man City as well, but Man City are very erratic at the moment. You can play that ball through the middle because he's quite good in the pocket and pass off into the wings. And so Lascelles has to be quite sharp. And sometimes Lascelles doesn't back himself enough to be proactive. So I would worry about that. However, if Son does not play,
You mean sort of tracking back, or in terms of
so
like?
so when you guys because you guys obviously you're high pressing, but you go either really directly quickly to the wings to Kulishevsky's and then you go in, or you go like especially when you had Madison, you'd zip a ball right through the middle into Son because he's really good at playing in that pocket before the defender gets to him. Defenders will either back away and he would shoot, or he would take them on, or he would turn and pass off to Kulusevski and who's on the other side, Kulusevski and
And Brennan Johnson.
yeah, exactly. So that would work for you. That's what made your attack so unpredictable. But if you haven't got Son who can pick it up that well in the middle, and you got Richarlison, I back us to really kind of to maybe win that battle. And obviously you got Basuma back. If he keeps his discipline, it'll be a tough game. But if he doesn't, and he wants to get into a fight with Joe Linton, and which I can see happening,
Yeah,
that's going to be difficult for you. I'm worried about Isak. I want him to be a bit sharper. So as well, so it might be that Gordon starts and then in the center and Lewis Hall comes in the left. So we both got good and bad bits. Again, it's the thing who wins the midfield battle. It comes down to it. I think if Joe Linton and Guimaraes step up, and obviously Miley step up and can win that battle in the middle, because our midfields aren't overly creative. I know you said you got Guimaraes, but we're not. He's a deep. People want him to be an 8. For me, he's a deep line playmaker, and that's just me. But I think both of our midfields aren't overly creative, so we might cancel each other out. So it's more about who can press who back the most. And if you guys are blunt on the other side in terms of if Richarlison's playing and Isak manages to squeeze out 45 minutes and show some brilliance, that could be the clincher. But otherwise, I see this as it's incredible because we're both high pressing teams, but it could be a 0-0, at best a 1-1 almost.
yeah,
That's my view on
100%.
it.
Yeah, I would say one more thing, that's well. Who's your left back actually usually?
Livramento. at the
Livermento.
moment. Yeah,
Livramento, yeah, Livramento, and I think Livramento is originally a right back, right?
he
Hmm.
is,
Or is
but
he?
he's very good at left
He's
back because you got
yeah,
Porro on that side, haven't you?
yeah, yeah, yeah. So
He'll
we
go
got
past.
Poro there. So
He'll burn
I think
Porro.
yeah, so
He'll
I
go.
think no, no, it won't be Poro. It will be Kulusevski because now we play four at the back. So it's inverted fullbacks basically, not so much. So it will be
Right. Okay. Okay.
Kulusevski taking on mainly over Livramento, and I think that could be an interesting battle as well. Because one of the things that we have been recently struggling as well is, I think Kulusevski's speed can improve quite a bit because he's struggling with with releasing his passes quick enough. Like he's not quick enough in his passing, and neither with his speed as well. So I think that's gonna pose quite a bit of a challenge because I do rate Tino Livramento as well because Tino Livramento is a very versatile player. He's a very good defender. He's a very good fullback as well. Defender, as in I mean as a center back, because when he played for Southampton, I watched some of his games when he had to play as a center back,
Yeah.
and he can
Yeah.
really play well in that role. It's gonna be a tricky one, I would say,
Yes.
that battle particularly. And then on the other side, you got Kieran Trippier versus Brennan Johnson. I think definitely Kieran Trippier has an edge over that as well. In the middle, I think you have Fabian Schär and Botman. Is it?
Oh, I wish Botman. Lascelles, but Lascelles been playing well for us. I'm a bit harsh there, but he's yeah. We've
Yeah.
got
Yeah,
Lascelles and Shaw.
Lascelles is okay, not too bad. But I don't really rate him highly. But Fabian Schär is good, so I think it could be a battle between Fabian Schär and Richarlison or Sun. I think if it's Sun, probably I think Sun might take over Shar quite a bit. In the midfield, I think the battle is going to be quite evenly contested. I would say Lo Celso as well. I think he's not too bad in terms of his chances, like just outside the penalty box. Like two of the goals that he scored in the previous two
Against Man
games that
City.
he's
Yeah.
played against Man City, and then the other one at Villa as well. It was just outside the box. Those goals were like I think those were like good goals that you can do. Like he is kind of like that kind of player. He's not that creative, but once he has the ball at the right place, I think if he shoots, he
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
really score goals
Yeah.
in there. So
Yeah.
I think we would have to capitalize on some of those chances there for him. And I would say if it's Sar, Pape Mata Sar, I think it would be better instead of Hoiberg because I think he's back. Pape Mata Sar has had a few minutes today. And so I
Hmm.
think he'll be back against Newcastle that game. So if I'm not mistaken,
So
I think the
go ahead. Go ahead. Finish.
midfield is yeah, if the midfield is gonna be Bissouma, Sar, and Lo Celso.
Okay.
And then or you could actually have Bissouma, Lo Celso, Bissouma, Sar, and Bissouma, Lo Celso, and maybe you can play like let's say Richarlison on the wing with
Where's Bentancur? Is he injured?
he's injured. He's injured again. So he
Oh
came back for
man.
like two games and then he picked up an ankle injury. So he'll be back now in February.
Oh, Matty Cash injured him, innit? It was Matty Cash. The Matty Cash
Yeah,
challenge,
yeah.
wasn't it?
So Medicash is now on Romero's hit list,
Mm.
apparently. We're gonna injure him next time. Just kidding. But yeah, I think it's gonna be a closely contested game. But
Yeah.
looking at areas, I think a lot of areas Newcastle has an advantage, I would say.
So what? Just to finish off your predictions, man. You got to give me a score. What are your thoughts? You
I think
and Phillip.
2-1 Newcastle.
Wow, I didn't
Oh,
expect that. Wow, okay.
nice.
I didn't
2-1
expect that.
Newcastle this weekend.
I didn't expect that.
You heard it from Elias.
We've not been a good
No,
away.
I'll be fair in my assessment. I think it's gonna be a 2-1 Newcastle win.
Yeah, okay. That we're gonna add a black to the black white hart lane on the weekend. It's gonna be. But what's up, Phillip? What do you think?
I'm surprised. Okay. I have to. I did say 1-1, but I'm thinking Tottenham aren't used to playing 2-3 games a week like we are. I think looking at Joe Linton, wow, 2-1. I'm gonna stick with 1-1. I think if Postecoglou can manage his game better, Tottenham can be better. But I think I'm gonna stick with 1-1. I think it'll be a 1-1.
All right.
It could
Well,
be. I wouldn't discount on that as well.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. With that being said, we got to call it off. It was a bad game for both fans. So, you know what I mean? Newcastle fans and Spurs fans. But hey, it was a good day for West Ham and Everton fans. So, you know what I mean?
At least somebody's happy.
Somebody's happy.
Yeah.
We will see you on the next one. Tomorrow is Friday. I usually don't stream on Fridays, but we'll see what happens. So, don't know exactly. Haven't done a preview of the weekend yet Not sure if I will yet, but regardless, stay tuned, subscribe, hit the like, and definitely hit that bell. That way you get notified when we're about to come on live. Phillips, he's on Toon Tactics TV. Great content, great shorts, man. I've been watching you. So great
Thank you.
content. You go
Thank you.
subscribe if you're a football fan, especially Newcastle fans, and of course, step up Spurs. My man Elias, we gotta get him to stream because he hasn't done it in a while. But definitely
Yeah,
Spurs
I'm
content.
planning to.
All
Yeah,
right, Spurs
I used to
content
do
over
quite a
there.
lot of it when I started it, but yeah, lately it has been a little busy with my work actually. So in fact, after this trip, we have to get ready for work also because it's like
Yeah.
7 a.m. in the morning here.
Wow.
Dang, he's in Malaysia.
Wow.
So
Oh,
imagine.
wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Imagine that. But anyways, I appreciate you both. Thank you for coming. Thank you to everybody watching. We will see you on the next one. Bye bye.
God bless.
See you guys.